David, before I go over the driver's swing, I wanted to add these pictures of a couple other pros in certain positions. On the left is Tiger, and on the right is Robert Rock, who's a top European player. And this is their setup position. You can see that they both have their foot flared a little bit, Rock a little bit more than Tiger. This is the three position, extended left arm, but you can see how they're keeping their left knee right on top of their foot. Their hip is right on top of their foot. So they are stable. They have a stable axis golf swing around their left side. This is the five position in the downswing, and you can see how far they're pushing their left hip and legs past the initial blue line. At impact, their center of their body, their center of their belt buckle is right on top of their left foot. Now their right front pocket is on top of their left foot. So on the downswing, there is a combination blended move of turning and sliding. So they're not only just rotating around, but they also are shifting and sliding to the target. The slide kind of flattens out the arc of the rotation so that you can be a lot more consistent. If you have just pure rotation, then you're going to have radical changes in the geometry at every inch of motion during that arc. Now let's look at your driver swing.
It's going to number two.
David, my goal in teaching is to change your score, not to change your swing. Teaching is problem solving, and you are not the problem. What the ball does is the problem. Bad ball flight is what causes bad scores. Bad ball flight is a combination of directional problems, distance problems, and consistency problems. Before I look for swing flaws, I want to clearly identify the ball flight problems that we need to fix and change. And I only want to change your swing in order to change those ball flight errors. You had mentioned that you had inconsistency problems with the driver, that you would hit pull hooks, you would hit pushes, and you would hit slices. You would also hit them well down the center of the fairway. So let's look at the ball flight of this shot. This shot was a pull draw. It started too far left, and then it had a curve to the left on top of that. That ball flight was caused by the geometry you delivered at the moment of impact, which was 400 microseconds, which is 1,000 times faster than you can blink your eye. So the specifics of that geometry is where was the face pointing, where was the vector of the face angle, and what was the path vector. The relationship between those two vectors causes every ball flight. The black arrow represents the initial starting direction of your ball flight. The yellow arrow represents the curved direction away from that starting line. The blue arrow represents where the face was pointing at impact, which created the black line. And the red arrow represents the path direction of the club head. And because the path was slightly to the right of the face direction, then the ball would curve slightly left. In order to change the black and yellow arrows, we have to change the blue and red arrows. If you wanted to hit a power fade, which is represented by the black arrow and yellow arrow, you would have to move your face direction more to the right. You might be able to keep your path direction the same. If you wanted to hit a draw, which is the black and yellow arrow, then you would have to move the face vector and path vector quite a bit to the right. Most of that movement of those vectors to the right is done by simply rotating our setup stance more to the right. The key difference between the fade shot and the draw shot is that with the fade, the path is to the left of the face, And for the draw, the path is to the right of the face. I have no preference on whether you have a fade or a draw. Both are optimal shots for control and for low scoring. Regardless of which curve you have, the goal is to have a predictable curve. We don't want to set up for a fade and hit a draw, or set up for a draw and hit a fade. In order to change your face and path vectors, I have to change your swing. Now, this comparative discussion was based on looking at one of your swings, but from what you tell me, that was one result, but you also have other situations where your face is open and the ball goes too far right. And so you have chaos occurring at impact. Sometimes the face is left, sometimes it's right, sometimes the path is left, sometimes it's right. And so as a teacher, I need to decide, do I work first on controlling and making your face direction more consistent, or making your path more consistent? As I view this, I think we need to focus first on your face control. I think your current swing has small variations of the path. That's the red arrows. Your path is consistently slightly left with only small variations. But your face direction has a much wider dispersion, much wider variation. The blue arrows represent the face sometimes way too close, sometimes okay, and sometimes open too much. With each swing, you get a different combination of red and blue, and that causes pull hooks or draws, straight shots down the middle, a little fade, or a slice. So as I look at your swing, I'm looking for those things that's causing this inconsistent face control. There's more than one thing that I need to adjust in your swing, but the very first thing is your setup. Your ball position for a driver is way too far back. You need to have it much closer to the left side. So you need to start experimenting with moving that ball much further to the left, either somewhere around the left heel or left toe, somewhere between those blue lines. I recommend getting 2 alignment rods or survey sticks from Home Depot and begin setting those down so that you confirm that what you're experimenting with is the same position each time. Experiments aren't worth much if you're not sure that you're repeating a particular ball position. So select a new ball position that's more left, repeat it for 10 shots, evaluate the ball flight, adjust it, and experiment with a different ball position. With each swing, your subconscious partner will slowly start adapting the golf swing to that ball position. And so you can't judge just 1 or 2 results. You're going to have to let a pattern develop. Before you and I consciously start working on changing your swing, I want your subconscious to adapt a swing to your new ball position, because your subconscious partner may do the work that we would do. And if you can change your swing naturally through just by changing your ball position, that's the better change. Now, I've told you what I want you to change first. Now let me tell you why. When your ball position is too far back, your subconscious will not allow you to slide forward to the left side. It has a sole responsibility of trying to create a much faster rotation around the body and around the wrist in order to try to square that club face up. If it did a natural golf swing like Tiger does, you would hit everything way to the right with that ball position. The further the ball position goes to the right, the more the club face is open as on that arc. And because the ball position is so far back, the natural face position at that point in the arc is open. And so your subconscious mind has to flip the club around quickly to try to square it up with the hands. And it kind of stalls the body in order to accomplish that. And so by moving the ball forward, your subconscious mind is going to be able to slow down the rate of closure of your club face. That rate of closure will become much more stable and not be so radically changing in every inch of motion of the club head. Now, it needs to be understood that by changing ball position, not only will it affect your face angle, and that's going to arrive at a new pattern of where that vector of the face is pointing, but it'll also influence your path. And so I'm anticipating the path being a little bit more stable as well. So work on this new ball position for a while. You may have to go to Verde Santa Fe's driving range to do that. and then give me some feedback. And then we can maybe have another session where I get to look at it as well. And as I watch your new swing that has adapted to this new ball position, then I can determine how much other changes we might need to make in terms of your over-the-top move or your flat swing plane.